We are here for Barber Star, the podcast. You already know what's happening. This is amazing. First, before we start this joint, be sure to like, subscribe, share this to all your barber friends. If you know a barber, share this interview with them. Share all the other interviews that we've done. But today's interview is going to be special. I'm wearing the hat actually, as you guys can see. This is that EYBL hat. Let me introduce our guest today because we have a goat, a legend. We don't even call them ghosts no more. Ghosts be feeling a little weird to me. I want to start calling the people that we hold in high regards in this barber game saints. The saint that we have today is Saint Dante, aka Famous Pascal. Shouts out to welcome him right now to the Barber Star podcast because every star needs a barber, but every barber ain't no star. Shouts out to you. What's up, Dante?
Man, blessings, my brother. Blessings, my brother.
Hey
My
man,
fellow saint.
hey man, my fellow saint, what's happening? The saints, the saints, the saints. We out here, we out here. Hey, bro. First off, thank you. Let me turn you up a little bit on my end. Hold on a second. Let me make sure my sound is up. Okay, we all up now. Okay, perfect. I can hear you perfectly fine now. Hey man, first off, I just want to thank you for coming through. This has been our fourth attempt right now to get this interview popping.
Yes, sir.
This has
Yes,
been our
sir.
fourth attempt. But before I let you get into your story, man, I want to let everybody know who this gentleman is, man. Hails from Oregon. At first I didn't know there was any brothers in Oregon, but you're the first brother I met in Oregon.
A whole lot of them.
Hey,
And
there's
they
a
all
whole
my
heap of you.
cousins.
They are, hey, all of y'all connected. And I want to give a shout out because this man not only has represented his state, but his city, Portland's finest, represents so many different things that you all have been using all your life. This is actually the official Nike barber, y'all. So I've always thought this guy was a myth. I was like, I know there's somebody who has to be the official guy. When I first started cutting hair, there had to be somebody. And one day, faithfully, All Star Weekend, New York City,
New York
there
City.
was a hotel. I was just moving around, had my bag, had an apron on, because I was like, yo, I'm gonna catch somebody who needs a cut. Because the only way people can know that I'm a barber is if I have an apron on. I walk around, I walk around, and randomly out of nowhere, I walk into this little suite. Where do I find the Nike suite? Who is cutting hair? The official barber, my man, famous. Famous, what's up, bro?
Man, I remember that day like yesterday.
Man,
I remember that day like yesterday. I was cutting and they said, because the Nike suite is very official, and
hmm
it's exclusive, so it's private. And
yeah,
so they came and said, "Hey, man, you have a visitor up at the front. Somebody wants to come in." Said he's a barber, blah blah blah, this and that and the other. Okay, let me go see. Boom, it's Marcus, and I knew you already. I knew of you because I had been
yeah.
following you. At this day and age, thank God for internet and all of that. I was following you, and so when I saw you, I said, "That's the guy." He's not one of those guys who does not look like his profile. That's him.
Yeah.
So man, we met and we've been brothers ever since. I really appreciate you. I really, really do.
Hey man, thank you. I appreciate you. You've been my OG before you knew you was my OG. So let's get into this interview, man. Hey, real quick, man, how did you get into this barber world, man? We like to call it bit by the clippers. Back in the day, you get that little small spot right there, and the clippers bite you, and they let you know that it's real. When was it real for you? When did it become real that you were going to be a barber? Period.
Man, I started cutting my own hair in the seventh grade, and so that's
Okay.
when I first picked up the clippers. As far as it becoming real to me, after trial and error, and actually like I'm a church kid, so trials and tribulations of life,
Come on, church. Come on, church.
and man, the hoop dream failed, and life got real to me, and I again started cutting hair in the seventh grade, and everybody, all of my mentors, and everyone that was in support of me being my better self, suggested that I go to barber school. I thought that was corny at the time. I'm all the way in the streets, hustling, making a little change, a little bit. And so I thought that was goofy, man, because I didn't see a barber living the type of lifestyle that I wanted to live. And I went ahead and tried it because the streets was continuing to get real. So I went ahead, tried it, jumped into barber college, and immediately I liked who I was becoming. And that's when it really like the career really started to make sense to me. I
Hmm.
liked my name changing. I liked the character image changing, and it was all because I had opened my eyes to an opportunity that I had already been holding on to since seventh grade. And so, like I said, man, it became real to me. And people started coming up to me. Conversations were changing. Like I said, the character image was changing. And what really, what I could really appreciate about the opportunity, it made my parents feel good. My mom actually got a full night's sleep, you know. So um, I liked it. I liked the grace that it had, that it had afforded me.
Dope, dope. Now, as you just said a second ago, how it changed you. A lot of times, all of us barbers have come from something prior to that led us here. Almost like we're all orphans of some sort in a sense, and it feels like barbering is like that orphan's house. You know what I'm saying? So like we all kind of run to it from something else that we were like that was not going the right way. So you said you was a hooper. Like tell me about that hoop, them hoop dreams, and then tell me about them street dreams because we know if you was a hooper, there had to probably be some street dreams in there too. So
Yeah. Again, I started playing team sports in the seventh grade.
mhm,
Basketball is my first love. Played football. I'm from Portland, Oregon. So in Portland, basketball, or excuse me, football is not as grand as basketball is. You can start playing basketball, man, as early as third, fourth grade.
yeah,
But football, it comes a little later. So again, I started playing team basketball in the seventh grade, and people don't know, man, Portland at that time was a really very talented city as far as basketball was concerned. We didn't have
yeah,
AAU back then. We had like BCI, and so
okay,
we traveled. We played basketball up and down the coast. If we were good enough, we were able to get outside of the West or the Pacific Northwest and go even further. But started playing basketball early. I was good. I was reputable in my city against the dudes who were, supposed to be good. And so I had opportunities, and I went to Jefferson High School, which is the mecca of basketball. Some people would disagree, but you don't do anything in basketball without coming through Jeff. That's just the way that it is. And all those that would disagree are people that would quote unquote be rivals to us. I never
that
looked at it
sounded
as
that
we had
sounded like some
rivals.
that sounded like some junk talking right there.
It's a
That sounded like
shot.
that was directed to
It's a shot.
somebody in a different school
It's a
that
shot.
you still holding some
It's
type of like
actually
alt towards.
hey, when you go to Jeff, because it's the neighborhood school, so it's the
Okay.
underprivileged school. We don't have all of the brand new books and the brand new curriculum and all of that that other schools have. In fact, our school is being remodeled right now, but we
Word.
had been skipped over several times where all the other schools that again that would call themselves our rivals, but we didn't have a rival. To me, everybody got it the same way. Like we were
That
their big game. I was there was nobody was like the game for us. No, that's me just talking that talk. But
yeah, I hear that.
again,
I hear
started
that.
playing
Talk that talk.
basketball early.
Talk that
Started playing
talk.
basketball early. By the time I was a senior, um, life had begun to change in Portland. The gangs hit the town.
Mhm.
And as a kid, now I grew up going back and forth from Portland to LA. I
Yeah.
lived with my aunt out in South Central as a child. And so, gang terminology and gang culture, I was familiar with that. My friends were not. And so, when I heard certain terminology and I heard some things being talked about, I recognized it. And I was going home telling my mom, Mom, I heard, some gang talk out here. And my mom was like,
Mm,
Boy, please, ain't none of that out here. That's why we settled. My family is from Portland,
Mm-hmm.
But the oldest aunt in our family, my mom is the second youngest out of 10. So we would go back and forth and we would live with her. And so, my mom was like, ain't no gangs out here. Yes, there is. I heard them. And so, man, the gang swept the city and it divided us. So some of those people that I actually grew up playing with were now being pulled away from our friendship because they were being told when the gangs came, if you want to be our friend, you got to let those other friends go.
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, if your friends keep coming around, they either got to get down or they got to get lost. And so that's how it split our city up, and I got involved. You know, and it wasn't really, to be honest, I got involved. Me and my friends, it wasn't like that we're gonna be gang members. No, we was raised right. If you
Mm-hmm.
lived in Northeast Portland, it was the lower middle class. Man, we all went to church together. We went to school together. So we were raised, the right way. But when the division started, we had to choose each other. And so really, we wasn't really claiming Crip or Blood. To be honest, we was really claiming Portland.
Mm-hmm.
And it just so happened though that if you have an enemy on the other side, now you're the other thing. And so that's just the way that it was in Portland. And again, I got involved in some trouble. And called man, I graduated from high school on probation.
Dang.
And the police officer that caught me out of pocket came to court and told the judge that, um, man, I see this dude play every Friday. I think if we gave him a chance, that he may actually, turn his life around and be some good. By the grace of God, I was able to go to college. Went to small school, went to JUCO, Treasure Valley Community College on the border of Oregon and Idaho. Got
Mm-hmm.
out there, had a great season, but at the end of the year, got in trouble and got sent home. During that whole time, also, I'm cutting hair. I never stopped cutting hair.
Yeah,
Started cutting in the
we never
seventh
do.
grade at Harriet Tubman Middle School
Uh-huh.
and cut all the way through high school. By the time I got to high school, all them funny haircuts and the designs and the tri-level boxes and all that stuff. I was doing that stuff and ended up being the barber on my college team. And so again, in trouble back home because I had left in trouble, and now I've been gone almost a year, and so our neighborhood is hot now.
Yeah.
It's not just rumors of trouble or little pockets of trouble. No, people are actually getting murdered. And so I come back home, and the reception home was like, you know, man, I'm back in the hood. So
Yeah.
I could jump the fence and be in my park. Woodlawn Park was my backyard. And that's where that's the neighborhood that we claim. And so being that accessible and being having that access, and man, I loved those guys. It wasn't a matter of like them not being any good for me or anything like that. Man, I loved them, but we just could not continue because there are other things that I also wanted to do. And so, the breaking away from them and actually going to barber college, man, it was a for me it was a hard decision because it wasn't like I didn't love what I was doing. I just knew better, and so I chose better. And so when man, I graduated from barber college, the word on the street was, man, Dante go to barber college. He already could cut hair. He's about to be cold now. Like he's really about to be him.
Yeah.
So I went to barber college, and all of my clientele that I played basketball against, some of them actually went pro. They're still my clients. And so
Word.
now that I'm cutting hair and I got credibility over here and I got credibility over there, and because I also went up and went to I'm also known in that space as well. And so that's where the whole like famous thing came along. There wasn't a place that I went to that people did not know me. And so again, my clientele, well, people always ask me, and this is real talk, and I say it here on this platform, man, how'd you become the Nike barber? I cut my way there. There
Mm.
wasn't a let me make this phone call, or let me fill out this application, because that's back when you actually had to fill out the application on paper and then take it
Yeah.
in, have your little suit and tie on and all that. Didn't exist. None of that existed. I was cutting people who in the introductory phase of their career. And as
I
I
like that.
evolved, as my as my career evolved, the credibility of what I was doing also evolved. And so as these people became more and more professional, they felt like it was okay to continue to do business with me. And when opportunities came, and back then, man, we cut hair in the shop. You might do some hair cutting, at home or whatever the case may be. But as far as actually having contracts and stuff like that, there was no template for me. There was nothing I could follow. There was nothing that I could say, I want to do it like so and so was doing it. There was none of that. I was the only person stepping out in my space, in my city, and cutting hair for cut hair for JDH, Juvenile Detention Center. I cut hair for um, the program, Self Enhancement, the program that mentored me. I cut hair for them as well. And then Nike clients came along with
Okay.
opportunities that were like, man, we're having an event. Would you mind cutting there at that event? Because you're
Well,
already my
let
barber.
me let me
Absolutely.
jump in there. Let me jump in there because I
Yeah.
see you getting in your church preacher bag. You said you was closing and you just kept going. So I will ask you some questions. You answer those and
You
then
heard
we
that
go
organ
go. I
tuning
see
up.
what I saw that. I heard that. I've heard them put you in C sharp. I was like, calm down. We ain't ready for the close yet. You know what I'm saying? No, before we get all there, because I know I want to get into that Nike barber stuff, but I definitely want to. I don't want the people who are watching to miss the process of a lot of our opportunities back in the day. There's a lot of different opportunities now. People feel like they can get these sponsorships via just internet and all that other stuff, and just their social medias, which it can happen. But what I've realized is like all the big things that you really want to do in your career come by actual client barber relationships. So I really want this podcast is meant not only to highlight you guys, but to also show the mindset that you all have that has a consistency in that same type of mentality that got you where you at. So speaking of that, the mentality, okay, so you go into you graduate from barber school. Um what's the shop? Let's talk about the shop that you joined that actually kind of like molded you into the barber, because we all know that you can cut hair, as a rookie, you can get really really dope, but then you go to school and then now you're at the bottom, and you can get really really dope in school, but then when you get into that shop, you're right back at the bottom, and you start seeing what kind of barber you want to be. So like tell me about those times, like, or tell me about a time in the barbershop that before you got all your opportunities, you can name the shop, you can name the barber, but the ones who kind of like really molded you and turned you into famous.
So when I was in barber college,
Uh-huh.
I ended up running into, man, this is just how this is why when I um created my LLC and all of that, the name of it is lined up. I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna tell you why. I entered into barber college, and I was roommates with a friend of mine, and he was a friend of somebody who was considered an OG in um, in West Side in LA. So when I walked into barber college, I had a little bit of credibility. And then when he started connecting dots, he kind of saw the way that I dressed, and he also admired the way that I cut hair. So he put two and two together. He was like, "Man, you're from over there, and you actually can cut hair good." So he kind of mentored me and took me under his wing as far as, yeah, you need to leave all that other stuff alone because you're actually really good at this. He was
Hmm.
saying that he was only in there to stay out of trouble. He needed to be there because he was on probation and had to have something productive or else he would have to go back to jail. Then also at Barber College, the I started getting my hair cut as a child by a woman named Geneva. Geneva was very well known and respected in our community as far as being a barber. Let me make this clear. I did not admire Geneva as a barber because I never admired barbers. What I admired about Geneva was the way that Geneva conducted business. She was a woman in a male dominated field. The integrity, the business savvy, and the character of who she was, there was never anything on her name. There was never anything that was associated with her that was inappropriate. And
Yeah.
she stood on business on that map.
I had one like that too.
And
You know, I
the
had one
shop
like
would be
that too.
full. Yeah, man. I mean, they inspirational. You know, you don't know it at the time, but it's, you know, the shop would be full, and there were two other barbers in there, and everybody in there will be saying, no, I'm waiting for Geneva. I'm waiting for Geneva. And so Geneva, you know, again, her credibility. Once I went to barber college, her son was in barber college. Geneva now is
Word.
aging. She's getting older, and pretty soon she's gonna be retiring soon. Her son is in the business because he's a very business savvy guy. Also, never wanted to be a barber, but eventually he's gonna have to take over this business, and so he needs to know more about the business. So he decided to go to barber college because of his credibility and because of his integrity and also his family pedigree. Now, him speaking into me every single day, I'd come in the building, man, I can hear his voice right now. Tay, deep, you know, radio voice. And, you know, it would just, again, it would make me feel good just to be in there because this is something I'm trying. This is new. I'm trying to change my life. And so it needs to feel good being in here. Then I knew when I graduated, my thought of like initially was, I'm gonna go work there when I graduate. It's like being the first pick of the draft, and I'm playing for the man. This is the like the Lakers or the Celtics. I'm
So
about to
how
go
was her?
work at Geneva shop.
So how was her shop? Like, explain her shop. Like, it was like
It's traditional
modern.
barber shop. It was they, her and Mr. Nemos, they bought a property on Martin Luther King Boulevard in the heart of our city, and that property was initially uh Winchell's. I think it was Winchell's, like a donut shop.
Mhm.
They bought that property and turned it into a barbershop slash hair salon, and it was popping. I mean, business was moving, and you know, again, it was very credible. So you had a mixed use space. You had women in there, you had barbers in there also, and as far as the culture is concerned, it embodied everything about being in Northeast Portland, from um, you know, from the previous generation all the way into the younger generation. They could connect there, and that shop was, and even today, it's a staple, you know, in our community. She's gone on, you know, she's passed on. Mr. Knowles is still alive, but um, the man, the foundation that they set, you know, still exists, you know, in our city to this day. And so, yeah, it was a mixed use space, barber slash hair salon, and it didn't happen that way. I didn't graduate and go to that shop. This is what ended up happening. The curveball. I my closest friend Terrell Brand ended up going to the NBA, and he came to talk to me and said, "Man, I wanna open up a barber shop. Um, and I want you to run it. I wanna open up a shop for you. I see what you're doing here, and this is great. I want to open up a shop."
Mhm.
And so that's what he did. He broke ground. He bought some property and he opened up a shop. Man, $600,000 space that he built from the ground up and dedicated um, that space, you know, to me, pretty much. And we opened up that shop, and um, before that shop opened, so it took a minute. It was, it took a minute for that shop to open. So I went to another shop until that shop was built, Expressions Hair Salon. And I went to Expressions because Expressions didn't have a barber. And so I knew that based on all the business that they had, I would be the only barber there. And I would get a lot of business because a lot of people was coming through there. Expressions Hair Salon was hot. It was the hottest shop on the block. And so I knew that I could come there and um, I could break ground there. So that's what I did. I went there first. 5 years later, our shop opened up, Terrell Brandon's Barbershop. And because Terrell was a NBA basketball player, lots of media coverage, lots of community involvement. Man, we were busy, we broke ground, and I put a team of barbers together, man, that set the town on fire. Man, we were the hottest shop in the town. As far as that barber shop culture, we embodied that. Part of the reason I actually wanted to be in a barber shop after I got into school was because I started cutting hair in the 7th grade. Me and my friends would get haircuts in my bedroom, bathroom, and all of that. There was no other men in there. So we're teaching each other all the wrong stuff. All the little stuff that little
Yeah.
boys teach each other, man, all the wrong stuff. There's no adult in here. There's no father here. And so I knew that by having a barbershop, we would have men in place that could tell us, like, nah, young fella, that's not it. That's not how you raise a family. That's not how you do your finances. That's not how you treat women, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that's why that shop was so important. And that's why it, um, for me, that's why it became um, my life's work. It was my mission. I felt like my life had lined up with purpose. What you got?